Hello and welcome to Science Talk with Jim Massa. I am your host, Jim Massa. In this video, I wish to share with you some findings involving ancient creatures such as pterosaurs and some dinosaurs here. First one I'd like to start off with is the discovery based on only just cervical vertebrae of a very large pterosaur-like creature, which in pterosaurs includes other creatures such as pterodactyls. This particular pterosaur had the wingspan of a small airplane. And in a paper that has been published in the journal of Vertebrate Paleontology, they have basically assigned this specimen to the family Asdarchidae, which includes the famous Quetzalcoatlus. Quetzalcoatlus was discovered in 1971, and it had an estimated wingspan of 33 to 36 feet, some 11-12 meters or so. This is just found, as I said, just based on some cervical vertebrae, so it's very difficult to get a good estimate as to the overall size of the creatures. One has to do some extrapolation. But if it was bigger than Quetzalcoatlus, it might have been too big to fly. So in which case, what does it do? It's sort of like the ancient version of an ostrich. So why is this significant? It's significant because it was found in Asia. And pterosaurs have not been discovered in Asia before. So this gives a further geographical spread to the range of such creatures. So not only they're found in North America, but also from Europe to Asia. So that's the significance of that particular find. Now it's important to remember that pterosaurs were winged reptiles. They were not dinosaurs. Yes, they lived at the same time as dinosaurs, but their features were different. They do share the common clade called archosaurs. Archosaurs include what we now have, the crocodilians, includes the pterosaurs, include the saurischians and the ornithians, which are the two major groups of dinosaurs. It also includes other creatures such as plesiosaurs, which were giant reptiles found in marine environments. Now, in a upcoming video, in a later video, I will describe and try to explain to you what is meant by clades and what is called cladistic analyses. And basically, what clades are involves looking at common features shared by organisms. The more features that are shared by different species, the closer related they are, and therefore the branching off from a common ancestor occurred more recently. The fewer common features indicates a branching off further back in time. That's the general idea of cladistic analyses. If you were to go to the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, for example, they've redone a lot of the displays there. So you'll see a specimen, a skeleton or something like that, and they'll have the species name. And then if you look next to this description of the species, of the whatever is known of its, what can be deduced of its way of life, you'll see a little mini cladogram. And in that, it will show the relationships that that specimen has with other species, closely related and otherwise not closely related. So it's very interesting now to note that pterosaurs have been found in just about every single land mass that there are. The next story involves what's called a little rainbow dinosaur that a farmer in China discovered. Now this is basically a follow-up to an earlier report that I shared with you where I discussed pigmentation in dinosaurs. So, what do we have here? Okay, we have this specimen that had a velociraptor-like skull. It's about the size of a duck. It's about 161 million years old. But mainly there's evidence that it sported gleaming, iridescent feathers that were rainbow colored. Hence the term rainbow dinosaurs. Iridescent feathers could glisten on a dinosaur's head, wings, tail, and so forth. And how they determined this, they did an analysis of the shape and structure of the creature's melanosomes. Melanosomes are parts of the cells that contain pigment. Chad Eliason is a postdoctoral researcher at the Field Museum in Chicago, is the one who is describing this work here. The find was found in the northeastern China province of, I guess it's Hebei, and the specimen also had a unique bony crest on top of the dinosaur's head. And the scientific name that has been given to this creature is Keihongjuji, which is Mandarin for rainbow with the big crest. How do they determine that the dinosaur feathers are iridescent? Okay. They used a scanning electron microscope, an SEM, okay, and they can infer the original colors of the feathers by looking at the shape of the melanosomes themselves. Different shaped melanosomes will reflect light in different ways. I might have, you recall an earlier video, I discussed basically this idea. As an example, if we took hummingbirds, now we know hummingbirds, brightly colored, iridescent feathers, very pretty birds, but if you took its feather and just mashed it down, okay, you're going to have a pile of black dust. So then you have to look at that pile of black dust under an SEM to see the shape of the melanosomes to realize that there are different shapes to it, and hence gives us the different colored feathers. Okay. What they found was in C. juji that there were pancake-shaped melanosomes which matched those found in hummingbirds. So we're using a direct comparison. This would imply that this dinosaur from the Jurassic age, 161 million years ago, had iridescent feathers. C. juji is not the first dinosaur to have iridescent feathers. Microraptor, a four-winged dinosaur, also sported gleaming feathers. Okay. C. juji is also the oldest animal on record to have asymmetrical feathers. This is important. When we trace the development of the feathers, they start out as being symmetrical. Well, a symmetrical feather is not conducive for flight. It's most likely useful for preserving heat, holding in body heat. If you were to look at modern birds and look at their flight feathers particularly, there's an asymmetry to it. The asymmetry is what allows for flight. So this would imply that C. juji might have had some flight capabilities. Asymmetrical feathers, in addition to helping with flight, will help with steering. Now, if you look at Velociraptor, Archaeopteryx, okay, you look at those feathers, and yes, they found evidence for feathers on Velociraptor. Those feathers were symmetrical, so it was more for insulation purposes. So it's a very excellent find. There is a difference here. In modern birds, asymmetrical feathers are on the wing tips. Juji supported these asymmetrical feathers on its tail. So it might not have been able to fly like modern birds, but there was some indication that it could do some sort of flight. It might have also used the feathers, the brightly colored, to attract mates, much like we see with many birds today, especially from the tropics. So this study, this analysis of the specimen, one of the co-researchers is a gentleman by the name of Jing Zhu. He is a researcher at the Institute of Vertebrate Paleontology and Paleoanthropology at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. And what he's basically saying is that the feathers we see on C. juji is indicative of early controlled flight. May not have been sustained flight, but early controlled flight. It's on the pathway for birds evolving fully capable flight. So it's kind of a transitional specimen. We see a mixture of old and new traits. The report can be found in the Journal of Nature Communications, if you're so interested in seeing that. In another story of a so-called missing link dinosaur, this one comes out of Germany. Scientists in Bavaria have identified a new fossil which may be the oldest known specimen of Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx was once thought to be a link between dinosaurs and modern birds. However, due to more research and finding of more specimens, we now know that theropod dinosaurs were already covered in feathers, or at least sparsely covered in feathers. This particular specimen is 150 million years old, and it highlights the diversity of known Archaeopteryx specimens. In other words, Archaeopteryx wasn't just one species, but Archaeopteryx includes a group of several species. Okay? Sort of like a Jurassic analog of the famous Darwin finches. So Oliver Rehut of the Bavarian State Collections for Paleontology and Geology in Munich is the gentleman who led this study. And basically, it goes to show you that a lot of times we have a lot of good specimens, but it also goes to show us that sometimes we don't always have the total picture of things. So, this is a short little video. I have some more videos upcoming because I want to, in my next videos, discuss some ancient sharks and fish finds, as well as another video discuss with you at length the finding of some ancient fossilized microbes. Very interesting findings there. So I want to take this moment to remind you that you can find this work at patreon.com/Science Talk with Jim Massa. If you are already a subscriber and a patron, I thank you for your support. Please tell others of my work, have them join and subscribe as well. Your support enables me to continue this work. Thank you.